The big key forwards are back with 9-goal hauls to Tex and Suvalaki, while a wasted season without finals has Dogs fans on the brink of anarchy. After 22 consecutive losses, North Melbourne finally got the win they need, with their fans oscillating between celebrating and lamenting losing Harley Reid. The Pies had a finals tune-up at the MCG. The Eagles want to forget about 2023, and an emotional Bud bid farewell to the SCG. To dissect the end of the home and away season and cast our eyes towards the finals on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub, as always, we are joined by St Kilda champion Lee Montagna.
G'day, Rabs here. Yeah, it has been a long home and away season. Looking forward to having the bye. I'm one that needs the bye this weekend, so can't wait to have a blowout on Friday night, have a freshen up and then get into it next week.
Collingwood and Carlton superstar Daisy Thomas.
Yes, thank you, Rabsy. And you touched on that, Buddy Franklin. How good, showing some emotion. A guy that we don't see a whole lot from. Just shows how much he loves the game, loves the fans, and appreciated his final send-off. I love that they did that for him.
And the biggest name in AFL media, bar none, Damien Barrett.
Rabsy, yeah, calm before storm feeling right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're all got the 24 rounds of home and away behind us and just waiting for the, as Ross Lyon calls it, the real season.
No one was more excited having a week off than you, Joey Montagna.
Have you run out of
that's
gas
true.
at all? Because I was going to go boxing this morning and I looked at the alarm. I couldn't get my head off the pillow.
Yep.
It's like when you just keep going week after week, you just keep rolling out. This week, not much to do. Just
It's been nice
Pull
to
up
switch
stumps.
off. Been nice to switch off a little bit this week and have a freshen up, and then we'll gear into it next week. Did you get your Collingwood tickets yesterday? Oh, they sold out pretty quick. They reckon 95,000.
I've fortunately/unfortunately got to work the game, so I'll be up in the box producing the game, which I don't really love doing, Collingwood, because I got caught on camera last year during the Essendon Collingwood game. Going
You're
off
meant to be
tap.
working.
You better
You're
not,
going off like a
Rabsy.
nothing.
Don't do that again, please.
I won't.
I would never do that either. I would never cheer for a team whilst I'm commentating.
Hey, I'm working on the St Kilda Giants game. I'm going to be biased as. Don't worry about that.
Didn't put your hand up for the Collingwood game?
No.
Why do you hate them?
Why do you hate
I'm
them?
doing Thursday night. I'll be there for Fox. We'll be at the
Oh.
ground, so it's going to be great. Can't wait for it. Which game are you most looking
novelty
forward to?
value for you too, won't it?
Yeah, I don't know. There we go. We'll be at the ground. Yes. What game are you most looking forward to?
I am looking forward to the Collingwood first up game. I reckon that's. I mean, you don't get. You never make commitments on one result of a final, but given the double chance element to it. But to me, that's the key qualifying final of the two.
Friday night's going to be unbelievable.
Well, equally,
The
yeah.
Blues fans who've had nothing to cheer about for so long, they're going to come and with the extra week to think about it, they're going to have a different scenario in their head every third minute of how they're going to win, 5 ways how they'll lose.
Yeah.
It's going to be unbelievable.
Very good.
It is.
I thought that was just good. Hey, did you catch up with a few of the Giants boys after their win against the Blues? Steve Cornelio's 200th?
I'm not talking about who I catch up with after I was accused of ratting on Ben Stokes. So,
Well, you did. You just revealed it all, and you said he had a bottle of vodka in his hand.
yeah, well, I didn't reveal all. I did. Stevie Cornelio, obviously, loosely in the friendship circles I roll in, so it was good to see him. Congratulate him on what's been an awesome 200 games. Good to see him have his heavily pregnant wife there as they're expecting their first child. And just good to see he's playing some unbelievable footy. A couple of years ago, I wasn't sure where his career would go, to be honest, but good to see him back flying.
Yeah, it might have been his best game of his career, actually, the one just gone, to confirm the Giants in the finals. But you referencing friendship circles, you've got a lot of circles.
Well,
there.
Social butterfly.
And this sort of, he's Shaw, obviously, with the Giants, but also Tori Packer, who goes out with Jager O'Meara. I'm really close with her. And then we sort of ended up associating with these people. So I spent New Year's with these crew, and yeah, there you go. So I like
Just
it.
a man about town.
Just a man of the people.
Obviously a big night because you got something stuck in your throat and you're dressed as a teddy bear on a Wednesday. So
Maybe that's why I was a bit slow this week.
That's why boxing missed out.
fair dinkum or Fugazi still to come. Plus, we might have a look at some of your home and away predictions from earlier on in the year. But up next, it is Damo's news, and we have to start with Bailey Smith. Will he stay or will he go? That's up next on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. Fair dinkum or Fugazi still to come. It's time for Damo's news. Let's start at the Bulldogs. No finals, so they look at retention of players. Damo, Bailey Smith is a name everyone's talking about.
Yeah, and other clubs are talking about it, and the holding position and holding pattern for this story is that he's contracted for 2024. We've now seen, by way of Sam Edmonds reporting, that his management has told the club and by extension the public that he's got every intent to stay. But there's been too many football clubs outside of the Bulldogs well aware of the possibilities of wrenching Bailey out, and we've all seen trade periods in this situation before. So until that deadline comes and goes, which will be mid to late October, this story is still alive, and there will be questions that have already been asked, and that will be continue to be asked about Bailey Smith. So, look, the easy situation is, and we've seen almost the blueprint with how the Bulldogs will handle it. The Josh Dunkley attempt to get out of a contract 3 seasons ago was forced to stay. So that is probably the favourite option, but other clubs won't stop asking the question still.
And rightfully so too. He could be, and probably hasn't hit his absolute peak of potential right now at the Western Bulldogs. We've seen glimpses of it in games and periods of a season. If he did get a fresh opportunity, I think he could become a real elite midfielder of the competition with his running power, his ball use, his ability to read the game. For the Western Bulldogs, I think they'd be mighty nervous of the fact that he hasn't put pen to paper just yet.
Yeah, beyond 2024. Yeah. Joey, what do you feel's happened to him? It's since the public revelation of the drug use, which was more than 12 months ago now. It's 15, 16 months ago now. He just has not been the same player.
No, he hasn't. And no doubt, confidence. It's all mental. I mean, he's still got the talent and the athletic ability. I think it's all between the ears. It feels like to me he seems like a kid that's an overthinker, and I just think it's the pressure and not performing to his level has all got to him. I saw a post or read something. He was running last week at Paran Oval, when everyone's having their break at a well-earned rest. He's still training, which for me is like, come on, man, just have a break, freshen up. So obviously he's disappointed with his year, but I've seen a lot of players that overthink their footy and think too much about it, and it weighs them down in a negative way. So hopefully he's surrounding himself with the right people.
Is he being played in the best position?
Yes, I think he's a half-high, half-forward flanker.
Really?
Do you?
Yeah.
See,
I don't think he's a pure
He
mid.
doesn't see himself as that.
I know, but that's the issue. You think his final series in 2021, when he was off the chart, was a half forward. He was getting 25 touches, kicking 2-3 goals as an elite high half forward, where your running capability is your greatest strength. You get up and you get back and you hit the scoreboard. So I'm a bit perplexed that this whole mentality, I want to play in the midfield. So it's not under 14s. You don't get to pick and choose where you want to play and say, you play where the team needs you. And they've got other inside mids that have got priority. They've chosen Treloar as more of a priority than him in the inside mid. And of course, you're not going to move out Libba and Bontempelli. And they've got Jack McRae. So I think sometimes as an elite athlete, you've got to do what's best for the team rather than what's best for the individual.
I can see his frustration, though, because you can't really put any of those other midfielders to the position he can at half forward because they don't have the ability and speed to get up.
Haven't they? They've tried with McRae and it hasn't worked.
Didn't work.
But it hasn't worked in the sense that he now goes back into the midfield and has 30 every week. So if I was Bailey, I'd be going, well, if it didn't work there and I'm not having my best season, where are my opportunities? Get me up involved in the play. Doesn't seem to be happening.
Geelong's been keen even before this year. Hawthorn has got a strong awareness of the possibilities around it. And I can also tell you Collingwood is keen to see how it plays out. They've got a more pressing concern in the next month. But if it transpires that the name is still in the recruiters' minds of other clubs, watch the pies in that space. Essendon, disastrous finish to the year. 196 points was their combined losing margin in the last 2 games. And weirdly enough, David Barham decided to go public today with a certain view of how he saw the year.
I'm really happy with the year. I think we've had a really good year. I know we had bad last 2 games and no one hurt more than the fans and supporters and everyone sitting there. We all hurt because of those last 2 games. But the whole year there's been an enormous amount of progress at our footy club. Enormous. On and off the field.
Anyone want to volunteer what the progress is that he's referring to?
On field, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I could sense off the field that they've certainly changed a few things, and Brad Scott's openly come out and said, I only had a pre-season with these guys. I look forward to having a complete off-season with them and the ability to do it my way fresh, and I think that's probably where the biggest jump will come. I reckon you could probably argue on field they didn't progress much further than what they did last year.
Yeah, won 3 of their last 10.
Yep.
So I don't think it was the last 2 games that he can just reference. And really, they won a few more games, but had 4 games against the bottom 2 sides. So at the start of the year, I admit, halfway mark, they did look like they were making improvement. They looked like they had some more resilience and some character, and defensively, they had a bit more integrity, and that just completely fell away to the second half of the season, to the point where you look at their profile at the end of the year and go, there hasn't been much improvement. Their defensive profile, their contest and clearance, it's about the same as it's been. So I don't think they've made significant progress. They've made maybe slight progress, long way to go.
I feel like some of their midfielders, though, Cordwell in there, Hobbs as well, these players who have been fringe players for the best part, they took some big steps in the right direction on an individual basis, but the team I think you can leave out of it.
I look at David Barham, who about this time last year had forced Ben Rutten to coach that final round of footy, then sacked him the day after. And we then know that the pressure that put on the CEO, Xavier Campbell, to leave, and the botched appointment of Andrew Thorburn, and then the part of all the replacement of Rutten with Brad Scott and the public commentary that accompanied that by a board member. Now, forget the fact that it's a club legend in Kevin Sheedy, but to go public as he did, to say he supported James Hird, didn't want Brad Scott, and to still be on the board under David Barham's watch 12 months later, I think there's a few other issues that David Barham could still look at before he wants to say it's a good season.
It does feel like there are some untouchables at that footy club and some others that are very easily dispensable, aren't they? Which is what we've seen over a long period of time. So I don't know the internal politics at Essendon. It does seem like there's always something.
There's always something at Essendon.
There's always something.
Yeah, and always will be. Brodie Grundy, we've talked regularly. We know that Melbourne has made the tough call, the brave call, and it must be said, Days, that the right call to go solo with Max Gawn and to abandon that dual rucking position. I just still have the Port Adelaide Footy Club clearly in front for the race for his services. The Swans are keen and they will still feel they're a chance, but I just feel from what every other club is indicating to me anyway that it is the power.
Is this a little bit of a changing of the guard into how we view trades and how clubs handle trades? In terms of they've got Brodie over, they've had a real idea that this is how it's going to work, this is how it's going to look, and then everyone's been mature enough to go, shake hands, we gave it a crack, didn't work, where would you like to go?
I think it's a fair point. Yeah, and given he's still got 4 years of a contract to run, for this to be having had as a conversation within the first year, what was meant to be the dream matchup, and even potentially the transition out of Gawn into Grundy, who there's a bit of a age difference, and Gawn will retire before Grundy, you would think, on age alone at least. So yeah, I think it's a fair way of looking at it, Dave.
And I'm okay with it. I think that's right. Yeah. You try something, hasn't worked, no drama. You do the right thing and you let him get to his club of choice. I can't see why they would hold him against his will. You got to remember too, his management group, I think he's got Paul Connors and Robbie D'Orazio. That's a powerful management group. You don't want to piss off them and say, no, we're not trading him even though he's not in our best team, because they've got other players and clients and all those things. So they'll do the right thing and he'll get to his destination. And it seems like Port Adelaide and Sydney are the two clubs that both want a ruck and a key defender.
They're the two.
And they think that they're probably in a strong position to have another crack at a flag if it's not this year.
Yep. AFL MVP and other awards announced tonight. There's no point us speculating now. We know who the 44-person squad is. We'll get to determine who the rising star is, and we'll also know who the AFL players vote as their most valuable player of the 2023 season. But, guys, I just wanted to throw it to you. The ex-players on this chat here, I've regularly had it put to me over the journey by some players that some players in the whole cohort may give it as much as 90-second thought processes around how they actually vote on those slips that go in, and therefore form the voting, the official voting, around what I would argue is arguably, anyway, the most important award that a player can bestow upon another one.
There's no doubt, and this is just in my time, that there was a little bit of that when it first went to the phone and you'd quickly scroll through and pick one, and there's a deadline given, so it probably isn't given the thought that it requires. I remember there was a player in my first year who everyone at Collingwood decided we'd put up for the most courageous, and this person probably wasn't the most courageous, but it ended up getting through, and other people obviously saw the humour in it and cast a vote, and it ended up getting up in an award. So, look, it needs to be given more thought by the players. How you make them do that, though. And obviously the older players would put more thought into it, you would think. But some of the younger kids sit there and go, who do you reckon? Who do you reckon?
Yeah.
Okay, let's all vote there.
It's a great point, Damo. And more of these young players coming through openly talk about they don't watch football. They don't sit there and watch 8 or 9 games.
They say it with pride
They
too,
do.
don't they?
It's almost a bit of this thing that they're cool because they don't watch footy.
Yeah.
Stevie J, I know, he's got a massive beanies bonnet in the Sunday rub, and I'm with him. There should be more people that are across it. So those players don't really know. They just hear the names that get bandied around, and they might ask the bloke next to them, Bontempelli, everyone's talking, he's had a good year. And they do. They'll just do 3, 2, 1, the names that they've heard. Some will put a bit more thought in it and say, right, who did we play against this year that we think's been the most valuable? And those, but yeah, you do get mixed bag of results from different people.
Yeah. Where do you rank it? I mean, I'm still a massive advocate for the umpires doing the Brownlow, and I still feel that is the main one. And I get the narrative around all that. Are they the right people? But if it's not the Brownlow, you'd think it's this one is the most important for the player.
Yeah, Stevie J made a good case. It was the Coaches Association votes because the coaches know the best.
But
and
Joey,
they
don't
put
get
more
me started. I reckon there's less intent on the coach. Luke Beveridge doesn't vote. He's not a member of the Coaches Association. And we highlighted an issue this year where he made some comments post-match that were negative on a particular player. And then the votes came out and that player clearly got votes from both coaches because it was a tally that was more than 5. So it just didn't line up. So we know there's already an issue with that in my eyes as well.
Yeah.
The assistant coaches vote, isn't it?
Yeah, the assistant coaches, and they still have a fair idea, but I'd still take the Brownlow as the big one. I don't think the umpires are too far wrong. I don't think in the last 10, 15 years we've thought there's been too many that have been
I agree.
way off the mark. The one I do get annoyed about quickly is everyone going on about, it's only just a midfielders award. What? Every award that is ever voted at the moment is
Best
for
and
midfielders
fairest
because
as well.
they, over the period of the season, are the most consistent performers that have the biggest impact on games. We understand the importance of key forwards and key defenders, but in any voting system, anywhere, media, coaches, players, umpires, stop going on about the others aren't getting voted. Everyone agrees. So I'm not sure why all of a sudden it's this whole thing that no one votes for key position players. It's just the way it works when you look at the best players on the ground.
Coming up soon, we're going to have a look back at some of your early season thoughts. But up next, it is Fair Dinkum or Fugazi and Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub with Joey, Daisy and Damo. We're going to reflect on your early season thoughts very soon, but right now it is time for this.
Now on the Midweek Rub, it's Fugazi, it's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a...
Starting with you, Joey Montagna. Shai Bolton is more stiffer than Tim Taranto.
Or stiffer.
Yes, he's more stiffer than Tim Taranto than missing the AA squad.
Shai Bolton, good start. Fair dinkum. I think he is. Shai Bolton's had a wonderful year. He's one of the best half forwards in the competition. I was surprised he wasn't in the squad of 44. Yes.
Righto.
Is the fact there's 18 teams awarded at least one player making this award a bit of a competitor's award, the squad?
Everyone gets a ribbon.
Do you think there was a bit of everyone gets a ribbon? We'll put one person from every team in.
Oscar Allen no doubt had a very good year at the West Coast Eagles, but your side is putrid. And whether there's a better person to go in there, speak of players like this, I don't know. It just feels a bit too nice for mine.
I'm with you, Daze.
All right, Damo, then I'll ask you this. Naming a 44 All-Australian squad 2 days before the team is announced is a waste of time.
Yeah, I feel it is. I've always been with Duck on this. I know there's an honour attached to it, and I think some players do still talk about it, and it is a nice thing. But there's other ways of getting recognised for your own input to your own team, and there's best and fairest awards. There's other awards you can be part of, and even the top 10 and the best and fairest in a good season is a good outcome for that player. I don't know whether being the 41st, second, third, or it's now 44. It used to be 40. And again, as you say, 48 hours before the team's announced anyway. I don't get it.
Looks like what they've done is they're picking a second All-Australian team. Even the names they've got in there, there's some half-backs. I think you watched it, the way they've constructed it is there will be a second team. And I think they've gone down the American path. The All-NBA first team, second team, NFL, I think they've gone down that to reward more people.
Australia A.
The Australia A team. It's like the Australia A. Yeah, it's very good.
Daisy, Anthony McDonald, Tip and Woody was deserved the chair off after his final game.
Whoa, hasn't this polarised some people? I'm going to go with fair dinkum. I think that a chair off to end a career, whether it be the services to the game that they're celebrating, also the fans celebrating a guy who's come a long way from where being up in the Tiwi Islands as a 17-year-old, couldn't read and write, come down, made the best of his opportunities, been a cult figure at that footy club and got bums on seats, obviously sold memberships. I understand some people getting annoyed with 100, 150. I think it should start at 200 games, but to end a career, a final note on it after he didn't get to do it the first time, I'm completely fine with it, and I think he's very deserved.
You don't finish these days without a form of celebration and ceremony around the exit. What did you do?
I didn't get chaired off until my 250th game, but then 8 games later, I was out the door. I made sure that I got chaired off from Tuesday training, Thursday training, and then when I left down at
into the limo,
GMHBA, straight into a limo. Literally took my jacket off, my jumper, gave it to the guy who had a sign before the signs were cool.
Over to Lammy's?
No, not over to Lammy's. Went inside, said all the best, everyone. You'll have a good couple of years coming up, and straight in the limo, straight to the George on Collins, and then had to go back in my kit, straight in my Carlton kit. So it was good fun.
You, is that Joe?
I just walked off the SCG with ice on my hamstring and thinking to myself, this could be the last time I ever play, and had a little look around. But I never got chaired off. I refused my 200th and 250th.
You refused in 250?
Yeah, I just didn't feel comfortable getting chaired off. It's a bit too much look at me, and I was happy to walk off and give a little wave. I just didn't feel comfortable.
So by 250, I realised that the end was coming a lot closer. Yeah. So I thought maybe that was the time to make it a bit more about me.
Damo, Hawthorn are as good a 16th place team as there ever has been.
Give me a spell.
This is trolling.
Absolute Fugazi. I remember David Noble when North were 18th there for a while, and he actually did say, I think it was privately, it may have been publicly, we're the best 18th place team ever. No, there's no guarantee that where you finish in one certain year is going to mean you finish higher the next year. And 16th is 16th, and they were 2 games behind 15th.
Joey, Sam Taylor missing the Carlton game cost Tex Walker the Coleman.
No, that's Fugazi. Charlie Curnow would have got it regardless. It took him 10 minutes. If Carlton had to, they would have taken right to the last minute to make sure he got the goals required. In a game that didn't matter for them, they would have made sure that he won the Coleman.
Daisy, Fremantle were the most disappointing team of 2023.
Fugazi. I think you can put the Cats up there after they finished not playing finals, from winning a grand final and doing it in a dead set trot. So Fremantle disappointing, yes. Yeah, I think you could say equally there was a couple of other sides.
Okay.
Joey, Sydney should set up a succession plan with Horse and Dean Cox.
Like it, fair income. It feels that is the case. Dean Cox, highly regarded. He's staying put at Sydney. I know there's been some bit of talk about West Coast Eagles, but I think if any club would do it well, a succession plan, it would be this football club. So
They've done it well, haven't they?
They have done it well in the past. That's exactly right. So the Horse transition to the Cox at some stage. I like it.
Damo, Nick Larkey must be in the All-Australian team.
I'm saying fair dinkum, Rabsy. I've still got Joe Danaher in my team for what it's worth, but I've also got as centre full. Yeah, I do.
You've got Larkey and Danaher in your team.
And I've also got Walker as well.
But not Charlie Curnow.
No, Charlie Curnow's full forward.
Oh, you've got all 4?
Yeah, I've got all 4. Now, I know that might
be
but
Who's laying a
again,
tackle?
rather than just dumping those midfielders who can't get a spot in the starting 18 on the bench, why not dump a couple of the
How many
key
people
forwards?
have you got in your team?
18 on the field and 4 on the bench.
And a sub.
No, I didn't do a sub. No, there's no sub in an All-Australian team.
Joey, I'm going to play you a bit of audio here.
We played footy yesterday. We had a dad's game of footy, of course. Our kids' primary school, St Monica's primary school.
Is this the dad's game you won the best on ground last year because you were the dad that tried way too hard?
Yeah.
That was last year?
Yes.
So how'd you go this year?
But the standard was I feel a little bit sick.
Why? What's happened?
I got leather poisoning.
You can't roll out the same gag you went with last year.
Jay Clark is playing out his sporting dreams via his kids' school footy games.
That's 100% fair income. He's one of those dads. He's that dad that tries way too hard in the dad's game in anything. He said the cricket, he won the best on ground in the cricket as well. He took 5 and made 40. Come on, Jay-Z. That's it behind you.
And didn't he give up work to actually partake in the game in question? Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. Come on, Jay-Z.
All right. I'm going to stick with this. Speaking of sporting dreams, 25 years after retirement, Bill Brownless still lives vicariously through Geelong Premiership players, Damo.
Absolutely fair dinkum. That will never change. He will go to his deathbed doing that. And obviously you're referring to the goal umpire role he played on Mad Monday just gone. And what a nuffy he looked in that. But he doesn't have to try too hard to be that person.
Daisy, play you a bit of audio as well.
Other game, Ash.
North by a point.
What?
Oh,
no! Ash!
See you, Reed. The Suns, JB. North are out to, I was about to swear, 13-point lead over the Suns. And for the first time in the Chua household, BT, the Spa will not be fired up even if we win.
Gold Coast goal. Is there a heartbeat, Ash?
No.
Had a good game, Ash. Emmett, what he had today, the young fella. Oh, Ash was
gone, Ash.
He's
Temper tantrum.
Boy,
Boys are out of the cot.
Packed up.
Gone.
Disbelief.
Daisy, Ash Chua was every North Melbourne fan in the country on Saturday afternoon.
Fugazi, not every fan, because I know Damo sat here last week and was cheering for a win.
Passionately cheering for it.
Thought the win was going to change the entire complexion of this football club. One win in round 24 after you hadn't done it for 21 weeks. And that was going to just give you all the enjoyment to go off into the sunset for another off-season. I don't understand why North did that. I've heard some reasons, and I even heard Scotty Pendlebury talking about the pressure on a pick one and whatnot, but if Harley Reid's the player that we're going to be, hopefully they do not look back in 10 years' time and go, we missed a trick here.
They'll get Harley Reid anyway, Days, is the way I read it. The West Coast Eagles will go for Curtin, and then there'll be other machinations around swapping picks. They'll get him anyway, and they'll have the bonus of having
Do you
won.
think they knew that before going into this week?
No, and look, they would have brokered those conversations to a point. No doubt. I mean, that's what recruiters do. But it didn't matter. Harley Reid, we say, people are saying he's a generational talent. Have either of you two seen him play?
Yeah, I've seen him.
Oh, well, you're a recruiter.
Yeah,
so
well,
I've seen him play VFL and under 18 level.
in person.
In person.
Okay.
I think it's the hype's been. Well, it's not. It's got to be careful. I think he's been spoken about a lot more because he's been picked one, the nominal pick
Since
one.
Cal
since
Toomey nominated him back in
March
March or whatever it was.
Where
Yeah.
it's different with other years where you don't know necessarily who it is, that we just say pick one. Because he's had a name attached, it's like it's some sort of. I think every pick one's had their name attached. You can go back to Whitfield and Cruiser and Tom Boyd. And
is he as big as what some are
he's
saying?
going to be a very good player, but I guarantee you someone else in the draft will be better. History
go.
says that.
Yep.
History says someone else in the draft will be the best player to come out of it.
He's got the don't argue. He takes hangers now as well. He can go forward. It's a pretty complete package for an 18-year-old kid.
Finally, no, Daisy Thomas asking
yes,
you
hello,
this
how are you?
question. No man has ever had feet in 2 camps more going into a final series than Daisy Thomas this year.
Oh, that's fair income. I could not be happier for both of my former clubs. Hopefully they put on an absolute clinic. I think as it falls too with the draw that maybe they could end up
Next week.
Yeah.
Well, the second
the,
week of
the
finals.
second week of finals. So
Oh.
we don't want that. We want them to somehow get through to the grand final. I'm not sure if that can happen with
Yep.
it can happen.
Yep. They can avoid each other to a grand final.
So let's cheer for them to avoid each other through to the grand final. And you talk about Bill Brownless just inserting
Ooh.
himself everywhere.
Cashies.
Cashies galore.
But as we learnt, your circle of friends is far and wide, and you've also got a connection with GWS as well. So you'll just latch onto them if
Exactly.
Collingwood or Carlton.
And I loosely played footy with Josh Dunkley's brother at one point, so I can go to Brisbane.
You've had a beer with Stephen May, so you got Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne, I'm all up with these boys. So pretty much Port Adelaide's the only team I don't know anyone.
Travis Spoke.
Yeah, I can find him.
Well, there's no games to preview this week. So up next, we're going to cast our eyes back to some early season predictions from you boys on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. There's no games to predict, of course, because we've got the bye week before the finals start. So we're going to revisit some of your early season thoughts. And we do ask you to put it all on the line and give us some thoughts. And sometimes they do backfire and sometimes they do.
And no doubt the stuff we got right
Yes.
won't be part of what we're about to
That's gone
discuss right
forever,
now.
Damo.
It's only the stuff that we got wrong. Is that fair to say, Reggie?
No, there's some positive stuff here, but
okay.
we will start with
Negatives.
with the negatives. So this is how Joey thought the Dogs season would be.
I thought the Bulldogs last year would be a slider, but I've got them bouncing back this year. I think the additions that the Bulldogs have made and they've addressed their team defence, which was their whole issue. So I think they'll spike.
Thoughts?
Yeah, they let me down. Yeah, that's on them, not me. My prediction was right. The players let me down. That's on them. They're going to go have a good hard look at themselves.
Well, Daisy, you went the other side of the coin.
Yeah,
I
I've
think-
got Richmond and Western Bulldogs coming out.
I'm with you.
No, okay.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
You think the Western Bulldogs will drop out?
I wasn't big on them last year. I thought they were cooked last year. I grant you they improved, but I think everyone else that's outside the 8 improves more so.
Daisy Thomas is the Oracle.
I also hope the camera's got Damo and Daisy fist bumping there.
Why is Daisy the Oracle? Damo was the
I
one
put
that
it out
said
there
it
before
first.
Daisy.
Daisy just agreed with Damo.
Yeah.
We haven't got a stinger. Maybe we need to get a stinger of Damien Barrett is the
That's
Oracle.
nice, though. I'm happy to share that with you.
All right,
Well
I'm
done.
glad I had the same opinion.
Well, maybe, Damo, you weren't the Oracle when talking about goal kickers. Obviously, this year, Max Gorn's going to be playing more forward.
I'm going fair dinkum on that one, Rabsy. I saw Max Gawn kick 5 goals in a prelim final.
Yeah.
He can kick goals.
Kick 16 that year, though.
5 in the second most important game of the year.
You went on to say he'll kick 30 goals for the year.
What did he get? About 15?
I'm not too sure.
I think it was
but-
15 or 16, yeah.
So you got that one wrong?
That's on him, though.
Yeah, that's on Max. and he was injured a bit, and Grundy stuffed it up. You have to play ruck.
They didn't kick the ball to him properly.
Yeah, not my fault.
Joey, you had this to say on Adam Kingsley.
For a club like the Giants, who have almost snuck under the radar, nobody's rating, Adam Kingsley could be the surprise, could be the Craig McRae potentially of this season with a completely brand new game plan that the players will love, free them up, and these sort of sneaking under the radar.
So the Giants are playing finals. How do we think Joey went with that one?
That's very good.
Got that one.
Did you have them in the finals, though?
I don't think I did a top 8. I don't think
Yeah,
I
okay.
really had an official top 8. I think
Good pre-season assessment, though.
And finally, we asked you all who the best recruit would be. Daisy, you said this.
I'm going to go with Brisbane, but Dunkley through the midfield. I think that midfield is screaming out for someone to either defend or show them how to defend.
Tick.
low-hanging fruit. Yeah. Coming off a best and fairest.
Damo, you went with someone else from Brisbane.
I think the Gunston recruit by Brisbane Lions is going to be proven to be a a masterstroke. I love what they did with Dunkley as well, but I reckon Gunston will reshape that forward line, and the footy brain that he's got is going to help that club immensely.
And the fact that they've got better since they took him out of the team probably says that one's wrong.
And finally, do you remember who you said, Joey?
No,
All right, well, let's go with this one.
I think Liam Jones will have the biggest impact for the Western Bulldogs. I think I can see him anchoring that defence, the domino effect it'll have on the rest of the team. Maybe he can, as I said, I think the Bulldogs can spike off the back of it. So I think Liam Jones.
You're on a hiding to nothing.
Take note, Joey. Way too much faith in the Western Bulldogs. Never again for next year.
And
Remind me
every now and
next
then,
year.
just take the low-hanging fruit. Go for the superstar who's going to a really good side. Genius.
No games this weekend. Before we wrap up, what are you doing on your bye week? I know that you're very happy. No first crack on Sunday, so your weekend's free, Joey.
Weekend is free. No Dead Set Legends either this week. My rostered week off, so I'm having a blowout Friday with a few schoolmates and not in any rush to get home.
Okay. No, usual scheduling, normal scheduling for me. So might have a look at the races, though, a little bit more than I would normally on a Saturday with I Wish I Win resuming.
Horse racing is back, which means I will be back working for 7 doing my points bet stuff. So Friday, Saturday booked up for me.
Well, no games this weekend, but Damo, you are working on Saturday because the Saturday Rub is on from midday until 2, and the winner of the Triple MVP Award will be on the show as well.
Don't tell us who
Can
it
you
is.
give us a hint?
It's in camera.
It is in camera. So make sure you're listening from midday to the Saturday Rub. As always, we will be back next Wednesday to preview the first week of the finals on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub with Joey, Daisy and Damo.